What about now? Is it on now? Can you guys hear me? If you guys can hear me, please give me a thumbs up in the chat or a response. Uh, awesome. Thank you very much. You can hear me now. Oh my goodness. My bad. I've been talking. I was running my mouth, guys. I said all the good stuff already. I've done that a couple of times. I do apologize. Um, but what I was just talking about was the title, the day's title of the Walk It Talk. Thank you guys for being here. Good morning. Welcome in. Where am I from? From Washington, D.C., man. I was born in Washington, D.C. Right now, I'm living in the Northeast. Love the area. Me and my family have been in the area for a while. We have lived in other places in the United States. Uh, the slums, it's something. So we've also lived in other areas. We've lived in Carolina before. We've lived in Texas before. So, just now, just kind of doing our thing up here in the Northeast. I don't know. Some people may call it the Mid Atlantic. I don't know what it is, but I went to DC as a kid on a field trip. Awesome. So, what I was saying in today's chat, guys, what we're talking about this morning is uh, when we talk about what are a million things that broke people have, right? Right. A million things that broke people have, um, besides $1 million, right? Now, the important thing to remember is if you tap the description, you're going to see a list of some of the things that poor people or broke people will always have, right? Now, why is this important? Because poor or broke is a mindset. Poor and being broke is not about your actual condition. And what I was just saying is, in terms of specifically in the United States, one of the things that's really interesting about the United States is that in the United States, we have this mentality for most of the population that we're suffering, that the nation is doing bad, that we're struggling. And so there was this old talk show. It was the Jay Leno talk show. And in the Jay Leno talk show, I believe they would walk the street and ask people questions. And one night they'd walk the streets and they asked people, "Are you poor or are you rich?" And most people responded with, "I'm poor." And then they would start running down the material items that the people had. How many televisions do you have? How many cars do you have? How many rooms in your house? How many credit cards do you have? How much credit card debt do you have? And once they started running down these material items, you could see people's position and emotion kind of change. And the reason that they changed is because what happened is people started to identify that the assumptions or the position that they had about being rich or poor was in their mindset, right? So when you look at your mindset and you think about the way that you yourself are looking at your situation, then that determines whether you're rich or poor, right? So here's a million things, right? We're going to run some of them down. I don't know if I'm going to get to a million this morning, but let's run some of the things down that a million that broke people or poor people believe or they have, right? So I'm gonna go with number one. I think this is top of the list. Top of the list for broke people or people with a broke mindset or a poor mindset. They have memories. Oh my goodness. And these memories I'm talking about, these are memories of these great moments where their life was on a pendulum. And this one thing that they decided changed their life forever. Whether they say it ruined their life, whether it said they made their life better, whether it said it made them greater, people with a broke or poor mindset have decided, and it's usually a decision at this point because it's how they drive their actions, right? And so what happens is people with this mindset find themselves using this moment in time to define everything else in their life. Oh well, I'm only I'm only this way because there was this one time, right? Now, I'm not saying stuff doesn't happen in people's life. That's not what I'm saying. Things happen. People go through things, but we have to make decisions. We have to make choices. We have to decide where we're going to live and who we're going to be. And that's what's important. And here's the thing, guys, because I'm only glancing at the chat, I'm not spending a lot of time in it, but I appreciate you guys leaving comments. I appreciate you guys engaging. I appreciate you guys being a part because even though you may not believe in what I'm saying, even though you may not be a fan of what I'm saying or doing, your engagement in the chat is helping me on the algorithm. Because every time you put something in the chat, the algorithm thinks that I'm doing well and it sends more people to watch. This is why you have to learn to not hate people who don't like you, right? So I don't have a bone in my body dedicated to having animosity towards anyone. And the reason I don't have this and the reason I don't live this way is because you have to understand when you know your purpose and you know why you do what you do, you also know that not everyone's going to understand it. Not everyone's going to agree with it. There are going to be people who don't like you. There are going to be people who are going to have a vision of you that's contrary to who you actually are. And that's good. That's fine because everyone is entitled to be able to live their life. And this is the second. Here's one of these second things that broke or poor mindset people have. They have blame. And I mean they cast it. You can be as wealthy as you want to be. But if you have a broke mindset, you can have as much money as you want to have. You can be as rich as you want to be. But if you're working with a broke or a poor mindset, you're going to still attack other people. You're going to still lash out and blame other people. And the reason you do it is usually because you haven't found contentment, right? So if your happiness is destroying other people, then you haven't found a place for yourself to actually be happy. Because once you decide that, hey, I want to take my time out of my life that I could be using to enjoy my life to damage or attack someone else, then you have a broke or poor mindset. You don't have a mindset dedicated to your enrichment, dedicated to you, dedicated to your growth. That's the true purpose in life. That's why we do the things that we do. That's why I'm up for this walk and talk. So, there are a lot of different ways for us to look at life. There are a lot of different things for people to do. But I'm telling you, when you have a broke or a poor mindset, it comes out. You can't even hide it. Right. So, now what do we have is blame. Oh, it's not my fault. Well, I could have done it, but YouTube has it set up so nobody can see my content. YouTube doesn't care about your content if it's factual based. And even if it's not factual based, it can be complete fiction. YouTube is out for the entertainment. They want you to be successful. Guess why they want you to be successful? They want you to be successful because they get money from you being on there. YouTube doesn't care about killing your content, but of course, because you can't find anything creative to say on your own, you choose to castigate others, and then you choose to blame everybody else for why you're unsuccessful. Everything except for your inability or your unwillingness to work on yourself. You haven't gone out and done any training. You haven't gone out and find out how to work a camera, how to improve your way of speaking, how to improve your engagement. These are all things that are in our control. So there's another thing we have inside of the blame card for broke or poor mindsets. They have a million things. You want to know something else they have? They have excuses, guys. Oh my good. People with a broke or poor mindset, this goes beyond blame because excuses are just about anything they want to say. Oh, well, I was going to, but I left my phone charger in my cousin's car And then when I went to go get it, he wasn't, I wasn't able to get the things that, you know, and so that's why it's important to understand that when you're looking at a broke person or a person with a poor mindset, you have to you have to keep in mind you can't change that person. You can offer encouragement, you can offer information, you can offer guidance, you can even offer support. But if you have a broke mindset or a poor mindset, it's going to dictate your behaviors. It's going to dictate how you act and how you move forward. And that is what is important for all of us to focus on is who we are and the steps we're taking. I know that for a long time, even when I was working as a personal trainer, and felt like I was doing fairly well on uh, on my training, on the work that I did with my clients, and on the money that I made. I still had a broke mindset. I did not have a mindset that understood how me investing in myself more would help my future, how my investment in my own growth, my investment in my talent and my knowledge base to things on the fringes of what I do would significantly improve my wealth, right? Because my wealth is not just determined by how much money I make, it's determined by the knowledge that I gain and the impact that I can make. So, what does this lead us to now? We know that people with a broke mindset or a poor mindset are going to have excuses because excuses are comfort food, right? Excuses are the thing that if you have a broke or poor mindset, they're the things that's going to allow for you to just say, hey, it's not my fault. I don't understand why everybody is having such an issue because I am doing my best. But circumstances are making it difficult for me. I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be poor. I'm not choosing to behave this way. I don't have any control over it. I don't have any way of doing anything because of my parents, because of the way I was raised, because I'm in Kentucky, because I'm in Illinois, because I'm in New York, because I'm wherever. Hey, these circumstances, man, these circumstances are doing so much to control who I am and what I can do. Those are excuses. And believe me when I tell you, when it comes to somebody with a broke or poor mindset, excuses are what hold them up. And so we have to continue to take strides. Don't be that way. Don't adopt a broke mindset. Don't adopt a poor mindset. Because once you do, the next thing you have to understand is it programs you. And when you're programmed, you don't even need to think about the things you do in order for them to be what they are. You don't have to think about making excuses. You just make excuses because it's what you do. You don't have to think about trying to figure out what to say to someone when they're trying to encourage you. You already have it there. You don't have to try to figure out who to blame. You don't have to try to figure out what point in your life changed. You don't have to do that at all. And the reason you don't have to do it is because it becomes a natural part of your operating system. And so when you flick the switch in the morning and wake up, your mind goes broke. And you're already in the process of looking at these million reasons for you to be broke versus the one good reason for you to get up and make a change, which is identifying yourself as your purpose. When you identify yourself as your purpose, then you can remove the outside. You can remove all of this hate for what everybody else thinks about you. You can remove all of this judgment that you have of yourself for the things that you haven't been able to do yet. Here's the thing, there are opportunities for all of us to be something. But another one of the million things that broke people and poor people in their mindset have is the belief that they can't. The excuses and the blame and the accusation and the anger, those are all symptoms of a lack of confidence, of people who don't believe that they can do something. There are things that are in the when you get down to the center of it, when you get down to what's driving this, you find out that in the core of the individual, they have issues for themselves. And often people with a broke or poor mindset don't want to look at themselves. Don't know, I don't want to look at me. And here's the reason why they don't want to look at themselves. The reason is because if you look at yourself, you're going to find some things. You're going to find some things you can change. You're going to find some things that are absolutely you and you could be doing differently. And whether you choose to do differently or not, that's a decision you have to make. But what I'm trying to tell you is you can't get there until you change your mindset. On this channel, what I cover is discipline. I cover discipline because discipline is the driving force behind doing anything in life. And you have to understand discipline isn't the same as a habit or being habitual. Discipline requires thought and action. There are four pillars to discipline. All right? These four pillars are really simple. You have patience, perseverance, repetition, and consistency. You can put them in any way you want to. But here's what's important to remember. When you're looking at discipline, all of those things that are required for you to be disciplined are your actions. It starts with self accountability, self awareness. It starts with you being fully aware of who you are as a person and holding yourself accountable for the things that you do and don't do. You can't push it off on other people. You can't continue to blame everybody else. You can't continue to blame your circumstances. You can't continue to blame your parents. You can't continue to blame the town you grew up in. You can't continue to find excuses and hide behind the difficulties of what life is for you. This is what's important, man. It's important for you to grow. And again, I appreciate everyone in the comments for dropping a comment. I appreciate everyone for making a like. And I appreciate those of you who took the time to stop in and listen. And the reason I appreciate you, because it lets me know that at least I'm reaching and I'm being heard and I'm touching people. But remember, guys, if you're hating, dude, don't use your hate to help somebody. If you don't like what a person is saying and you stop and take the time out of your life to hate on that person's page, you're feeding their algorithm. You're making them richer. Every time you start a comment or do an argument, you're feeding that person's algorithm. And this is why I'm trying to say is that I appreciate everyone who's in there because of that. I also understand that for my development and for my growth, I'm a very small time creator at the moment. And so what I'm doing on here is an attempt to be impactful in the lives of people who are looking for impact, but also to continue to work on myself and develop my skills. This is as much an opportunity for me to grow and for me to show and for me to develop as it is for those who come in and participate. And I would love to be able to develop a community of people who would like to see other people do well, who would like to be of support. And the reason the channel focuses on discipline, leadership, and wealth development is because when you get a community of people who are like minded and they want to see others be successful, when you are truly dedicated to that type of work, the things that happen for those individuals and for that community can be immense. There's a great deal of value in there for people. There's great ways for people to connect with one another, support one another, and help each other grow. This morning's walk and talk was simple. It's a million things that broke people or poor people have besides $1 million. And it's all in their mindset. Excuses, blame, lack of confidence, stories, memories, all of these things they have, and then they have them in layers. And the reason this is important, the reason that this is important. So I'm going to take a moment. The stream's almost over, guys. I only do this for 30 minutes every morning. And give me a second. I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to read this comment. This is from Vegan Runs. I don't agree with that. Finish with Sprint. I'm not sure what you don't agree with, and I do finish with the sprint. I actually walk 30 minutes away from where I'm at, 30 minutes away from my home, and then I do a run back. So it's a 45-minute workout, and then I hit the gym. Or at this point, I'm doing a body weight workout. So it's just push ups, squats, some sit ups, things like that. Okay. So I understand what you're saying about poverty, and poverty exists. But we've seen people come out of poverty. I'm not saying that there aren't bad situations. I'm saying if you can't change the world around you, all you can do is change or work on you. You don't agree with the narrative that it's a mindset. It's more as deal with inequality, wealth inequality specifically. Again, vegan man, that's outside of you, right? So even if you look at yourself, and I don't know what you do for a living, I don't know what type of work, and I have no idea what's going on with the channel, if you have one, if you support people, just the choice of being a vegan, right? If you're in the United States, you're in a country that is the antithesis of being a vegan. This is a meat and potato country. And because it's a meat and potato country, in order for you to be a vegan, you had to make a decision. You had to choose that you wanted to do something different and you wanted to live a different way. So it doesn't matter how many restaurants you drove past that did not have vegan options until you, as the vegan and the vegan community, came together to create change, there was none. It's this way around the world. No, I'm not saying that any one person can change the world, which is why I said before, I'm looking to develop a community. Because when you get a community of people and you have someone who is suffering with poverty, or you have someone who is dealing with a difficult situation like traumatic relationships, or you have someone who is dealing with uh, 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 a bad childhood or many of the other things that may be a cause for someone not being successful. When you have a community that you can reach out to, it can create change. It can create a significant change in people's lives and opportunities. So it says every time I am some black guy on flight, I try to get him. Okay. Oh, right. So here's what I'm saying, man. I'm gonna have to stop reading everything that shows up in the chat. I feel like some of y'all might not be just waking up, y'all might just be getting ready for bed. But what I was saying, vegan man, is that what I'm saying about mindset is when you have a mindset that starts with you and it says that the things that are an issue for you are because of other people, you take away the ability to be able to drive the narrative on your own, right? You take away the ability to be able to say, hey, this is my choice, this is my decision, this is my life, right? So you have to change your mindset first, because until you change your mindset, then you can be auto programmed and it'll run your behaviors, right? So I don't know when you became a vegan, but I'm just using this because it states it right in your name, right? Um, that whole thing about how you became or how you made that decision. And you can put it in the chat and let me know if I'm wrong. If your parents raised you as a meat eater, like let me know in the chat if they raised you as a meat eater. Because if they raised you eating hamburgers and eating chicken and eating fish, then you weren't raised to be a vegan, which means when you made the choice, when you made the decision to be one, you were fighting against a whole lot of already naturally ingrained programming on who you should be. And this is what I mean when I'm telling you that it's about mindset, because you had to change your mindset on what it takes for someone to survive. In the United States, they put it everywhere. They put everywhere that you need milk, that you need meat, you need potatoes, you can't survive without it. These are your food groups, and here's where you get it from. And that's what I'm trying to say is when you look at that, and it's usually a challenge for people to accept the mindset of someone being a broke mindset or a poor mindset, because there are a lot of factors. There is a lot of wealth in the world. And I am adamant in telling you, I'm not somebody standing around here with $30 million falling out of their pockets. So I understand the mindset. So they did for the first 22 years of my life. I had to leave the indoctrination and deprogram myself and respect. That is the exact same wording, that is the exact same way you have to speak to a broke or a poor mindset. You have been indoctrinated to believe that what you need to do to be successful is go to school and get a job. You don't need to understand finances. You don't need to know anything about wealth management. You don't need to know anything about compounding interest. You don't need to know any of those things. You need to understand that you're going to have a poor mindset or a broke mindset. Those are the only two that we're going to allow for you to have, because we're not going to teach you about wealth. We're not going to teach you about these things. And what I'm trying to say to you, Vegan Run, is the thing that you're stating and the disagreement with the mindset, you are the poster child for mindset. Guys, I want to thank you all for stopping out. It looks like I'm supposed to be ending. Yep, this is supposed to end at 5 o'clock. It's now 5:01. So I'm gonna go ahead and close out. I appreciate everybody for stopping in. Thank you for all the love, guys. Remember, I'm out here every morning from 4:30 to 5. Come out, walk and talk with me. I'd love to hear from you guys. Please like, please subscribe, please share, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.